Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome once again. So today is our fourth session of the ASWARA on Air challenge, and this is my vocal clinic. And today I am very happy to introduce our guest speaker, Miss Sirirat, along with me, and we will be talking on two topics today, which is on the cricoid cartilage and on vocal polyps. So a few weeks ago, we started on our the power source filter, and then we introduced the 13 vocal tracks, and then we went on to talking also about the thyroid cartilage, and we talked about the larynx, the height of the larynx, and then today we will be talking about the cricoid cartilage and also the vocal polyps. So these are all very, very important for us to get to know our vocal tract, because we use our voices a lot, and many times we end up in vocal injury without even knowing it. And some of us innocently feel that the voice is tired, or it's just something that's not right, but we don't know the severity that is caused. So in this voice clinic, I hope that everyone will be interested to get to know more about voice science, and and it applies to anyone who uses voice, not only singers, but also to MCs, to teachers, lecturers, actors, and also for those who are in the medical field, nurses, doctors, students. So I hope that this will be a platform that we can discuss regarding the vocal tracts and get to know it better. And so what will happen is that we will start first with our discussions, and at the end we will have about 10 minutes of question and answer, in which we will open the session to everyone to have questions for either myself, or for today you can also ask Miss Sirirat. So Miss Sirirat is a speech and language therapist from Bangkok Hospital. Yeah. So this is the slide. Let me introduce you to her. Let me play you the slide. Sorry, this is not the right slide. Hang Okay, I can't find the slide at the moment, or something is wrong. But anyway, let me introduce Miss Sirirat. Hi, Rat.
Hi.
And how are you today?
Yes. Fine. Okay.
Okay, thank you for being up here. So yeah, Rat and I, and together with Peng, if you remember Peng, we all did
Yeah.
the Esteel course together in Sydney. We were all classmates. So yeah, so it was very interesting. We have people like me from the music scene. We have people who are also in the theater scene, and we also have speech and language therapists like Rat and Peng. It was a good session there. So yeah, so let me review about what we've learned. So we've talked about in the past about the about the larynx, how the larynx height helps us in terms of building the shape of our sound, like a high larynx, like we say, like a little child, gives us very light and high timbre if we need to speak even more softly, and a lowered larynx will give us a larger and a darker tone.
Mm.
And then we talked also about the thyroid cartilage, in which if you tilt your thyroid cartilage, you get a sweeter sound, higher pitch, and how a vertical thyroid will give you a slightly larger sound, and it brings you into speech quality, like what we are talking now. And for today, we'll be talking about the thyroid cartilage, and the thyroid cartilage sits below the thyroid cartilage. Okay, the cricoid cartilage sits below the thyroid cartilage. If you give me one moment, I will bring out the slides for that, because it suddenly closed and I couldn't open. Uh, just a moment. So here we go. So here we have our larynx. If I can just make it larger. Yeah, so we can see this is the hyoid bone, and we can feel the hyoid bone here. It's a very, very soft bone that we can move left and right. All right, and everything else suspends from the hyoid bone, and it's very, very dangerous. This one, I mean, for especially for children, we discourage them to play a lot of choking games, okay? Or especially if you're angry with someone and you want to choke, this is very dangerous because if you break the hyoid bone, everything else in the respiratory system will collapse. Yeah, so it's very, very important to take care of this hyoid bone. So below the hyoid bone, we have this notch in which we find our Adam's apple or the thyroid cartilage. Below that sits this one here, which is the cricoid cartilage. And this cricoid cartilage works the opposite from the thyroid cartilage because it gives you a larger sound. See, for example, if you go to a market, you hear someone speaking very loud, "Hey, hello!" You hear that. Or someone yelling. So this is what happens is the cricoid cartilage tilts to the back and it produces a brassy sound. All right? So thyroid sits at the top. So thyroid cartilage gives you sweet sound and the cricoid cartilage gives you a louder and brassy sound. I'll show you another slide. Okay, so here what we have is we have both cartilages, so we can see. So for those who are in the medical field, this will help you revise for your anatomy. Okay, but for those who are in the artistic side, don't have to remember everything. Don't have to memorize everything unless you want to get to know more on voice signs. Yeah, so you can see the thyroid cartilage has a large front and is open at the back, whereas the cricoid cartilage is a full circle over here, like this. It's larger at the back and smaller at the front. You can feel it as you put down. First, find this notch, yeah, and then slightly below you find a space, and then you will find your cricoid cartilage. For the guys, it's easier to find your thyroid cartilage, but for the ladies, the cricoid cartilage is larger. So you can find that below. One way you can find is, if you can try it, because you're all muted, so you can yell, you can just go, "Hey!" and see if any part of the throat here goes in. You can go ahead and just try it now. "Hey! Hey!" See if I do that. "Hey!" I can see it going in. All right? All right. And if you do, "Yay! Yay!" you can feel the front moving. Yay! Right? So those are the two different types. So now why we need to know this? So as for singers, if you are trained in the classical style, if you're a soprano, if you're in the female section, ladies, you will always tilt a lot of the thyroid cartilage and not using a lot of the cricoid cartilage. But those people who are doing musical theatre and pop, you use a lot of cricoid cartilage because you need that big ringing tone. So this is one situation that is always very tricky when you have crossovers. People who are very strong classical singers moving into musical theatre, they find it a little bit intimidating to tilt the cricoid cartilage because it's just not in their attracted state or not in their default system, because they want to produce that sweet sound by tilting the thyroid cartilage. Vice versa, when we get people who are in the pop world, who are in musical theatre, but usually mostly in the pop world, it's difficult for them to really tilt the thyroid cartilage at the top because they are used to having that big brassy sound. So this is where having control of these two cartilages will actually benefit you in terms of crossing over. And for actors as well, because when you need to yell, you will, if you keep on tilting the thyroid cartilage, it doesn't give you enough strength. Now, once I have a chart of this entire thing, which I will show you once we completed all the 13 vocal tracks. We've already completed 3 at the moment, in which it's arranged and you can see which vocal track actually corresponds to colors and which corresponds to pitch and which one corresponds to the timbre of it. Once you know all this, it's very easy. It's just like cooking. You learn how to dice. It's either you dice the potato, or you cut it straight into strips, and then later on just remembering, okay, if I'm going to make curry, these are the ingredients. If I'm going to make a stew, these are the ingredients. It's the same thing, but it's how you dice. All right, so let's take a look at the voice print. Every week I introduce you to the voice print. It's really nice working with the voice print and see how it sounds. Okay, so I'm going to show you. All right, so I'm going to show you now the print if I'm doing it just not tilting my cricoid, okay? E, A, U, E, A, U. All right. Oops. Okay, I'll do it one more time. E, A, U, E, A, U. Okay, so the first one now that I did was a tilted cricoid, and the second one is a vertical cricoid. So you can see when we do a vertical cricoid, look at this one, between 2 to 4 kilohertz, the sound is more, it's brighter and it's louder. And how it's louder is, you can see, it's the spectrogram, it's full here, it's all lit up. But this one, you see there's a lot of empty spaces over there, which means it's softer. I'll play it again. Okay, you can hear the difference, yeah? So we use tilted cricoid a lot when we have to belt. So many people would ask, what is belting, right? So for simple thing, belting is heard a lot in musical theatre. Take for example, if you are used to watching Dreamgirls. Dreamgirls has lots of belting, right? And I am telling you, I'm not going. That's belting. And you have Alphabet, bring me down. And let me give you more examples. Freddie Mercury, Mama, that's belting. All right. And what else? Who else belts? Jacqueline Victor is a belter. Yes, okay. So those are belting qualities, and we use those in musical theatre. And in theatre, we use belting when we need to speak out very, very loud. In angry scenes, you can use belting, or you can also use belting for space. For example, if you have to speak for a long distance in a long distance scene, you can use that as belting as well. Belting is always loud, and it's not soft. Yeah, it is to be loud and usually in a large space. Okay, so that's what we use for the cricoid cartilage. All right. So any questions if you have regarding the cricoid cartilage, please take it down, and we'll answer that during the question and answer session. So we've already covered the cricoid cartilage, the thyroid cartilage, and also the larynx height. Okay. So now let me show you something else. Okay, to save. Not that. Hang on, I've got so many screens, so many slides here. Yes, so now we will speak to Miss Sirirat regarding vocal polyps. Okay, so Rad, maybe you want to tell our audience a little bit about yourself and what do you do?
Okay. Hello. My name is Sirirat. Yes. I'm speech language therapist. Yeah. For me, I work at the Bangkok hospital. Yeah. I work with the like many uh patient. Yeah. So about the kids, the children, I work with the kids for delay speech. Work with the
Mhm,
adult, example, voice and
mhm.
stroke. I think I work like same my friends.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes. So then you deal mostly with children with regarding
Yeah,
their speech problems and so on. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, but in Bangkok hospital, I have more about the stroke patient.
Ah, so you work
Uh,
also
work,
people which has
yeah, with the stroke. Mhm.
and do you cover also regarding what do you call vocal paralysis as well? Patients with paralysis?
Yeah. Some patient has the vocal paralysis.
Yeah, so that's another topic in which we will speak also. That means we'll get you to speak with that because Peng will speak regarding aging voice. So let's get you
Yeah.
to speak about vocal paralysis because I have a very interesting encounter also once with a patient with vocal paralysis, and it was a discovery to help that patient until she recovered. So it will be a nice topic to talk.
Yes.
But today we'll talk about vocal polyps
Polyp.
because vocal polyps and vocal nodules they look nearly the same, but it's different. Okay, so maybe Peng, you can tell. Rad, you can tell us a little bit about vocal polyps.
Okay. Yeah. You showed the picture.
All
You
right.
show the
Uh,
picture.
okay, so this is
Uh,
right now. Do you want
yeah.
this?
No. Another picture.
Okay,
Yeah.
this
No,
one.
yeah. This one.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. On the picture, you see about the blister. Yeah. On the vocal cord. Yeah. It's called vocal polyps. Yeah. Vocal polyps are mass that grow and protrude from the surrounding tissue.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Yeah. It maybe look like a blister. Uh-huh. Yeah, generally we will see on only one side of vocal cord. Yeah, but in some case have
Both
both
sides.
sides. Yes. Okay.
Generally on one side of the vocal.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, but different from nodule. Yeah,
Ah,
vocal nodule usually
both.
mostly both side. Yeah, but vocal polyps mostly on one side.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, and vocal polyps are bigger and softer than the vocal nodule. Yes.
Ah.
Yeah, but that affect to the voice too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, and I have a video of the vocal polyps. I'll share with the audience now so that at least they can see what is it. So this one here I've got it also from the internet as well.
Yes.
For vocal polyps. So you will have a look and see how it sounds like and how it looks. Okay. So this is the front.
Yeah.
There. That's
Yeah.
vocal polyp.
Yeah. This is a vocal polyps. Yeah. The patient have the vocal polyp, the sound like a breathy.
Mm.
Yeah.
But it
And
looks
like
it
a
looks worse than the vocal nodule, isn't it?
but vocal nodules if voiceless,
Mm-hmm.
okay, maybe the sound can like get better. But for the vocal polyp, voiceless maybe cannot help this
Mm.
this condition. Yes.
Yeah, because if you look at it, so for those who are not familiar with the anatomy, so you will look. This is the front. This is your epiglottis. It sits below your tongue. When you
Yeah.
eat, this epiglottis will close all this section and channel the food into your esophagus. So, and this is your arytenoids, and this is the true vocal folds,
True.
and this is
Yeah.
the false vocal folds. So the vocal polyps grow on the true vocal folds and not the false vocal folds.
Yes. Mm.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you can see here like there is no full closure because there is just that polyp sticking out right in the middle, so the vocal folds can't close together and we have breathy
Mm.
voice.
Yes. Yeah, but in some patient cannot see when the doctor
Mhm.
like a stroboscope because maybe like a lesion is behind the vocal cord, difficult to see
So
the
it can also
polyps
happen below.
below the yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but yeah, maybe difficult to see the
So
polyps.
what are the common symptoms that we can know whether it's a vocal polyps or it's vocal nodules?
Like a common symptom, I think
Mhm,
look like a vocal nodules. Yeah. Like a okay, breathy voice,
mhm,
cannot get the high pitch.
mhm,
I think like it's the same, but uh, the vocal nodule maybe in the first state. If voiceless,
mhm.
maybe the sound is better, but for the vocal polyps, maybe still the problem. Yeah,
Uh,
if you voiceless, yeah, maybe still this problem.
I see. So
Uh,
that means
yeah.
vocal polyps is more of a severe case compared to vocal nodules, isn't it? Because it looks like vocal nodules is still manageable, but vocal polyps, uh, it how to say it affects the
Is
voice more.
yeah, because like a vocal polyp need to surgery.
Mm,
Yeah, but voice therapy can help after surgery, like for train about the how to speak, how to make the sound like
hmm.
that, like a vocal hygiene and okay about the how to speak. Yes.
And in vocal polyps, so the blister is it blood vessels rupture inside?
Yes, this is yeah the
And
like
what could lead to vocal polyps?
yeah
What
uh
what causes vocal polyps?
cause
Yeah.
like a same the vocal note do like a scream, shouting, talkative. Yeah, I think the cause is the same. Just only in some case, maybe have about the effect of allergic.
Allergy. Oh, okay.
Yeah, allergy or maybe GERD, like a reflux.
Reflux. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and some like some people have the smoking, maybe yeah have the but if the from the smoking
Mhm.
mostly you can see the vocal polyp both side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but just if the like one side
Mm-hmm.
usually from the cause is uh like a vocal abuse.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
So vocal abuse that we talk, does it also include like we were talking about also constrictions. If you have constrictions when you're singing,
Ah,
you press very strong that
yeah,
way. Does it
yeah,
can that also cause vocal polyps?
yeah, can cause this can cause uh the vocal polyps too.
So straining of the vocal folds is something that we talk about. See, so maybe I will explain a little bit more to our audience. See, when we use our vocal folds, it is important to know that our vocal folds are really, really tiny. If you look at your pinky finger, your fingernail, it's no larger than that. So no matter what our sizes are, it's very, very tiny. And yet it's a very, very powerful tool because opera singers can use it to fill the entire opera house with, of course, with the help of good acoustics. And also many times when we try to sing out high and loud, you see, we hold our breath a lot. so what happens is that these vocal folds, the job of the vocal folds is to protect our airways. Yeah. So maybe Rad can correct if I don't get this correctly enough. Its usage is to protect the airway, and one more usage of it is for thoracic fixation. So thoracic fixation in I mean is that when we need to lift something heavy, we need more strength. It seals the air passage, and it gives much more positive how what do you call that positive pressure in the lungs that gives you strength to lift things. So when we are trying very hard to sing very loud or very high notes, and yet everything is trying to close, this can cause friction, because at the bottom you have subglottal pressure pushing against the lower tissues, and at the top we have the true vocal folds and other components coming in and squeezing through. So in between that white vocal folds is being squashed up that way. So as a result, you could get vocal nodules, or you can also get vocal polyps. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so what are the things that we can do if we have vocal polyps? Because during our session with Peng the last time, we mentioned that if there is any blood vessel rupture, we can't do the steaming method as what we did for vocal nodules. So for vocal polyps, what are the home care that we can do?
Like I recommend you see the doctor for evaluate. Yeah,
Mm,
if you have the problem about the sound, you have breathy or hoarseness. Yeah, so I recommend to see the doctor to like evaluate about the vocal cord.
mm.
Yeah, yeah,
But for vocal nodules, we could do like steaming and all these exercises for
yeah.
to help it reduce the swelling. But how about vocal polyps? Is it only by surgery, or is there a home remedy that we can do from home?
For the vocal polyp,
Mm-hmm,
I think need to surgery first, and
mm-hmm,
after surgery, okay, uh like to see the speech pathologist for the vocal hygiene, for the uh like train about the
yeah.
how to speak. Yes, because the vocal polyp mostly wireless cannot help, or medicine, yeah, cannot help this situation more.
I see. Okay. So I've also heard that in some situations that they inject steroids to help lessen the swelling. Does this also help for vocal polyps?
Yeah, can, but depend on
On
the
the condition
doctor.
of course.
Yeah, the and condition. Yes, like I
Okay.
have many like a technique to treat this
Polyps.
to the vocal polyps. Yes.
So for the viewers out there, don't worry, it's not the end. If you ever encounter with situations like this where you lose your voice, if you ever have vocal nodules or vocal polyps, it's not the end, but it's actually um, to retrain yourself on how you use your voice. Let me give you an example. I give you an example in terms of a choral director, okay? Because that's what I do these days, and it's easy for me to explain. So as a choral director, when you meet your choir, especially as a male choral director, it's easy for the guys because you can sing and they follow you. But when you are training uh, ladies, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes when ladies don't sing into their full range, you tend to have to do all sorts of stunts. Like you have to either falsetto in their range, or do
Uh,
something for them to copy. So that sometimes for us is quite dangerous because we are doing a lot of monkey stunts. I call it monkey stunts in my layman term, to try and achieve that. But sometimes or many times, we do not realize that we are actually causing harm to our vocal tissues because we are overstretching it or over pushing it. And notice that I use the word push, because if we keep on pushing a lot, that's where the harm will come, but it's not something which is not. I mean, like it's the end. It can be fixed, but you need to have it diagnosed. Okay, so many of these situations you will need to consult an ENT to have a look, and the cost is not cheap. Yes, to get an endoscope, and really you have to choose a good ear, nose, and throat doctor to visit because most ENTs will just take a look at it and they don't look at really the functions. They will just look at it and take it out because I have personal experience before. When I had some trouble after teaching choir for a certain while, and then I feel the voice isn't really working well. But when I went to ENTs, I told them what in my profession what I'll do, and I want to see the vocal folds function, how it works. But ENTs are not interested in that. They'll just put in the scope and all right, it's fine, and just remove. And I actually requested I would like to do my own procedures to see what happens, but most of them are not interested. So you will really need to get to know which ENTs will be willing to spend the time to look at it, because as us that we are using the voice, it's really important to check on which part of our vocal folds that is working or it's not working, because what they'll do is they'll just have a look, okay, there's no nodules, and they take out. But sometimes muscles can work very irregularly inside. That's what we want to look. And we really need to check if we need to tilt it further to see if it's working in thin vocal folds and thick vocal folds or not. And this relates also to the topic that we are talking about, the thyroid and the cricoid cartilage. Because we see, if you tilt the thyroid cartilage, it pulls the true vocal folds and makes it thin. But when you tilt the cricoid cartilage, the vocal folds will still be at the same position and it's thick, right? So it produces big sound. Yeah. For that, we will really need to know why what is happening in order for us to approach the ENTs and actually to actually tell them the condition, what is happening. For example, if I'm singing high in my register, I used to get it clearly, but now I don't get it. Or I used to be able to sing very soft and clear, but now my soft is breathy. Or I could easily sing for hold my breath for a long note, and now it becomes breathy and it becomes short. So these are the things which you can monitor and tell the ENT so that they will for them to help you monitor the situations. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so now I think it's time to go for our question and answer session. But before that, I'll play you some words from our sponsor.
It's the perfect timing. Trying again. It's the perfect timing. Make it happen. Privilege to deliver protection.
Okay, so let's open to question and answer now. So let's take our first question. Yes, we have from Hazri.
Hi, Dr. Casey, Miss Sirirat, and friends. So I've got about 3 questions today.
Mm-hmm.
So first, early in part of in the class that the Dr. Casey teaches about belting. So I would like to know, is it important to practice belting in our when we are singing? And how do we practice belting? Okay, that's the first question.
Okay. So belting, well, to belt or not to belt. Wow, it sounds like Shakespeare, isn't it? Belt or not to belt. It depends on your artistic preference. So let's say if you are in a musical theater, yes, belting is essential. But if you are singing in opera, it's a yes and a no. Why? Because in opera, if you are singing classical and a lot of soft and very, very sweet singing, you don't need to belt. But if you are a tenor voice and you have to sing at that high notes, for example, in Nessun Dorma, which goes up to that B flat 5, yes, it's actually belting. Although classical teachers will say that it's not belting, but if you look at the physiology of the vocal tracts, the cricoid cartilage is tilting, and that is belting, right? And in pop songs, if you're going to sing songs by Freddie Mercury, you're going to sing songs by what is that? What something Speedwagon? I forgot his name. I only like his songs, but I always forget their names. Yeah, all those rockers and so on. You will need to belt because that's the voice quality that is needed. So whether to belt or not to belt, it depends on the singer itself. If you're going to sing a lot of classical songs, then you probably won't need to learn belting. But if you're doing
Timing that
musical
makes it.
theater, yes, you will need to belt. And if you're doing pop, yes, belting will help you a lot. Yeah, does that answer your first question?
Yeah, but how do we practice belting? By
Okay.
tilting.
All right. So how to practice belting? Well, belting is best done with the guidance of a teacher because belting, although it sounds it's how is it? For a lot of people, it's very exciting. It's loud. It's brassy. It's very very powerful. But yet, do it wrongly, and like majority of the people who belt wrongly end up in vocal trauma, and they find themselves at hospitals getting surgery and so on. Majority, and that's why lots of classical teachers ban their students from belting. Why? Because they themselves are not confident about how to belt. But how to practice belting? First thing is that you will need to know the different conditions. For example, in the Estill voice model, the Estill voice model talks teaches very well about belting. So firstly, since because you are in the medical field, I will explain that more. But for the rest of you, don't worry because after 13 sessions, you will know all these vocal tracks, all right? The first until the 13 sessions will be a little bit dry because we're explaining all the cartilages, we're telling you all the ingredients. After the 13th session is where we're going into the artistic part, and that becomes more interesting, where all the sound quality comes in. So how do you practice? First thing is you need to know that the thyroid cartilage will not tilt, but the cricoid is tilt. Your vocal folds must be thick, and then your larynx needs to be high. You will need to anchor your head and neck, which involves the 4 muscles, which is your sternocleidomastoid, your pectoralis major, latissimus dorsi, and quadratus lumborum. These are the 4 muscles which needed to be anchored. And your tongue needs to be high, velum needs to be high, jaw and lips mid. AES, which is your airy epiglottic sphincter, will have to be narrow. So that is the recipe for belting. All right. So after that, if you want to practice belting, first thing is, if by not knowing all this terminology, I would say learn to shout, yell happily, which means don't yell like an angry person. Learn to yell like you're happy. Yay! For example. Okay. See, yay! It's a clear sound rather than yay. You hear the difference? Yay! Yeah! We don't want yeah! When people sing Freddie Mercury, they go, Mama! It feels like you're going to the bathroom to very hard. Alright? So that is really, really dangerous. And when you practice belting, you need to have that silly voice or twang. All right. The Southern Americans, like for example, Dolly Parton and the country and Western have fantastic twang. And if you know Kristen Chenoweth, those who are singers, you will know Kristen Chenoweth. She has wonderful twang. She'll speak to you this way, and twang helps you get larger tone. So if you want to sing like "And I am telling you," you have that twang in it. If you don't have that twang, you have "And I am telling you." You hear that two difference? I'm. The first one is with twang, second without twang. Both I'm tilting my thyroid, my cricoid cartilage. But with twang, it sounds brighter, it sounds full, and it's not hurting the throat. The second one, I'm trying to compress as much as possible, so it is hurting the throat. Just a moment, yeah. Let me just allow these people in the room because it's blocking my screen. Okay. Yes. So yeah, that's your question. Yes. Any more questions? Haziq?
Yes, another two questions. One is regarding what makes the vocal polyp to sound breathy?
What sound breathy? Rad, do you want to take this question?
Yeah, hi. Again, please.
What cause the vocal polyps? Why does it make it called breathy?
Oh, okay. Like a cause the vocal polyps. Okay, if you the patient have the vocal polyps, right? So when you speaking, the vocal cord cannot complete close. Yeah. So and the sound, if the vocal cord cannot complete close, the sound when you speaking, the sound like a breathy voice.
Okay.
Yes.
So Hazrit, you know when sound is produced when the vocal folds have complete closure, right?
Complete.
Yeah.
Mm,
So complete
yeah.
cycle. So when you have something in the middle, it doesn't complete the cycle and it disrupts the complete cycle of the vocal folds. It doesn't close together. So when the vocal polyp is in, it has something in between. So that causes breath to
Have,
go in between the vocal folds.
yeah. Have the gap.
Yes, the gap. Yep. Does that answer your second question?
Yeah, understood.
Yes.
And the last question is, how do we prevent vocal polyps and nodules?
Right? Do you want to take this?
Prevents about vocal hygiene. Yeah, not shouting, not screaming. Yes, and uh yeah,
Yeah. So
breathing. Yeah.
have to just watch on what we do with the voice, isn't it? Like if we yell, make sure that there
Mm,
is no constriction.
mm,
I think friction, right? We want to avoid friction, and coughing is very, very dangerous as well. If you get a flu and you're excessive coughing, some people have this habit of getting rid of the phlegm, all those. Yeah, that can also cause friction.
yes.
Does that answer
Yes.
your question, Hazrik? Okay, I think Hazrik got disconnected. So we have another question from Shive. Go ahead, Shive. What's your question? We can't hear you, Shive.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, we can't hear you. Maybe put the microphone closer to you.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, we can hear you now. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's like that because my problem is I notice myself when I sing, after sing a long time and my throat easily get tired, dry, and my sound become breathy. So is it impossible, like maybe I didn't notice, maybe there have a vocal polyps. Is it impossible it will recover itself.
Okay, and your question is for
For both of you also can.
Rat. You want to give your professional opinion with this?
Yeah. Tell me about the question again, please. I cannot hear clearly.
Okay, Miss Rat, is because I sing a lot, so after a long time, I will notice my voice become breathy, but because I don't think I have the vocal polyps, but if I have, is it impossible it will recover itself?
If you have the vocal polyp, I think, okay, your symptom, I think you don't have vocal polyps.
Yeah, but when I
Yeah.
sing a long time, then my voice will become breathy.
Yeah, but I think about the like a vocal fatigue. Yeah, maybe I think you need to exercise like a vocal exercise. Yeah, for train about the breathing. If you worry about the vocal polyp, I recommend to see the ENT doctor for check.
Okay, I see.
I think, Shive, if I were to add on that, think also about your mechanism of how you produce
Yeah.
your voice. Do you produce? See, because there are people who produce voice with naturally with very full closure of the vocal folds, very clear sound. But there are also people that produces sound by pushing breath. So first thing is get to know how you produce your sound. Ideally, we want people to be able to have full closure of their vocal folds so that they will not get out of breath and it's easier control. Okay, but on the other hand, some people uses breath. How you know that? Because how do we know is like when you ask to sing softer, they will still go rather than they will go still pushing of the breath. So you will know, and also a lot of pushing with breath also dries your vocal folds. And when and your vocal folds get dry, that can also cause friction. So I mean, for me, what I'm looking at is that first thing is go and look back on how you do it. And one solution also that I think you can try is doing sirening, because sirening gets your vocal folds to actually come in close together. All right, because sirening doesn't have any other vowels but just and even when you're doing sirening, also monitor. Some people do sirening like this, and that is also breath, escaping from that. So do your sirening. Do lots and lots of sirening. After sirening, then try and do get on vowel, like for example E. Just very, very soft, just for yourself, not to others. And for the listeners out there, right, I have to stress on this, that when you start training your voice, it's important for you to be able to sing to yourself first rather than out. Because for the first time that you're trying to project everything out, that can also lead the tendency for you to push the breath. Because when you sing loud, what we want is other muscles, larger muscles in the body, work to get that resonance rather than having that breath to push out. All right, because look at it, like we are talking about for example, the pectoralis major. It's a large muscle, much more. I think it's a few hundred times larger than the vocal folds. When that muscle works, it helps with resonating the sound vibrations out. So Shive, what you do is, first thing is, listen to yourself after the session when you sing. Whether are you the type that uses breath to support your voice, or are you the type that can produce very full closure of the sound? If you're the type that you use a lot of breath, then most probably it's your vocal folds getting dry. And when you sing long and high, especially, you're pushing a lot of breath, and then it becomes itchy. It becomes like your voice feels scratchy, tired. You feel fatigued, and sometimes burning sensations. These are all signs that you're pushing breath there. So look at that one, and then you can also try doing sirening, and then steaming the voice. Yeah? So work on that, getting full closure, and then slowly work onto the volume. All right, so I hope that answers a little bit of your question. Okay, so there's participants who raise hands. Yes, is there any other questions for Miss Sirirat or myself?
Yes. Sorry. Can
Who
can
is it?
I ask? Hazrit.
Hazrik. Okay, so I know Yuena has a question, but I'll take from Hazrik, and then Yuena next. We will get from you. Yes, Hazrik. What's your question?
Okay, so just now you mentioned about the losing breath. So my question is that how do I sing without losing my breath? And second is what to do if we lost our voice.
If you lose your voice after singing,
maybe on the next morning, then we lose our voice. I don't know why.
after
Something.
singing and then you lose your voice the next morning. Well, it's good. It's good that you point out that. So when you lose your voice, which means something, we have abused our voice in some ways. Because, for example, you can walk, but if you abuse your legs by kicking the coconut tree just because you didn't score a goal, then of course your legs will get swelling, and you get swelling, and the next day you cannot walk. Same thing with the voice, especially if we're going to karaoke centers. So karaoke centers are one place where sometimes it can be quite dangerous, because it's very noisy, and you sing, you cannot hear. It's important to be able to listen to yourself. And there are two ways we can listen to ourselves. One is through bone conduction, and one is through air conduction. And I have to say that we have to have this 50-50. In bone conduction, we hear it through our bones. So sometimes people go like, I don't think I sound that way. After when you record yourself, you go like, I don't think I sound that way. That is because we are not listening it through air conduction. Air conduction is what, from when we speak out and it goes back to our ears. It's because our location of our ears is here, not to the front. So that's why we hear mostly from our bone conduction. All right. So sometimes we do not know what we are doing. And regarding the breathy one, so the same thing like what Shive's question was just now. It's good to actually go back and do the sirens from the siren, build up to one vowel sound. You can do it. I would always recommend an E sound. E, because that's one of the most difficult, rather than R, because R is quite open. We want to have everything well closed, full closure. So start with a work with that until it feels very, very comfortable. So after a while of doing that, then hopefully you will change the habit from using just breath into having full closure of the sound. At the same time, you are training yourself to balance between bone conduction and air conduction. Yeah, so that's the thing. And your follow up, the next question you asked was, what do you do when you get when it's raspy in the morning? Is that your
What should we do when we lost our voice? In what ways? What should we do?
For me, I would say the first thing is, if when that happens, is I steam the voice and I do my sirens. As you can see, my sirens are so precious to me. It's the most precious thing, and yet it's cheap. I don't have to do anything. I just need to do my sirens. And if I can only do a little bit, I'll just do that and slowly increase the siren. And for me, I know once it can go up high and low, the siren, then my voice is back. So that's what I normally do. And if it's really severe, I rest my voice. I don't speak for 24 hours to 36 hours, in which sometimes it's impossible because I have to teach throughout the day. But if I can do that with 24 hours to 36 hours, that will be helpful for me. Yeah. Maybe, Rod, is there anything you want to add to Hazik's question?
Yeah, but for me, I think voice rest first. Yeah, and steam too.
Voice
Yeah,
rest.
but yeah, voice and steam. Yeah, I think it like okay, maybe 6 hour. Yeah, like that, and you try to like warm up. If the sound is back, I think it's okay. Yeah, and you try to like what happened before you like when you after you get up you lose the voice. Yeah, maybe need to check. Yes.
Or remember last week we did the no, the week
Straw.
before, the straw. I think that one can also
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
the
straw.
yeah.
Straw maybe can help, but I think the first is the voiceless, and okay, drink a lot of water.
Yes, I forgot about,
Yeah.
yes. Drink water. Singers out there or people who use your voice, please remember to have lots of liquid 8 hours before you sing or before you talk, not just before going on stage, because whatever that you eat or you drink will go into your tummy. It does not go directly to your vocal folds. Only steaming goes to your vocal folds, okay? So if you're really dry backstage, steam the voice. But if you want to sing 8 o'clock at night, drink water at 1 p.m. in the afternoon and keep on sipping water throughout. Because you drink water right before you go on stage, you quench your thirst, but your vocal folds is still dry and raspy.
Yes.
Thank you, Rat. Thank you,
Yes.
Rat. Okay, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
we have a question next from Yuena, and also there's Pasha, right? You have a question as well. So after Yuena, we'll come to yours. So Yuena, your question.
Yeah. Just now I heard from Raj that you do treat stroke patients, right? How
Yes.
do you
Yeah.
rehabilitate stroke patients that suffers slurring?
Excuse me, the sound is not clear. Sorry.
Could you
Again,
repeat your
please.
question, Yuena?
I heard from you, I heard from Raj, just now she
Yeah.
said she will treat patients with stroke.
Yeah.
Stroke patients.
Yeah, the stroke patient and
How do you rehabilitate the stroke patient using your voice therapy?
Oh, how
can,
how do
can
you
you
treat, how do you treat stroke patients with your voice therapy?
the you mean about the voice therapy in stroke? The stroke patient after the stroke, some patient have the language problem. Yeah, like a word finding problem. Yeah, so I train up with the language in the stroke patient. Or and some patient have about I call dysarthria. Yeah, dysarthria is mean like have the weakness of the oral motor. Yeah, so I like exercise with oral motor and breathing exercise, because some patient have the like a low voice. The voice is not cannot speak loudly. Yeah, so I try to like train about how to speak. Yeah, or in the Parkinson have the tremor voice, like the cannot speak loudly like that. Yeah.
Does that
Can
answer your question,
answer
Yuena?
your question?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, right? So we have one more questions from Pasha. I hope I got your name correctly.
Hi,
Hello, and what's your question?
I have a question, and I have always wondered that whenever I sing and when I try to reach a certain high pitch, but I am not able to reach a certain high pitch. So I just wonder whether if it takes practice to be able to reach a high pitch or a lower pitch lower than our range, or is it just naturally that we are born this way with that certain range, or could we practice to actually increase, certain songs that is like quite high, you're not able to reach the note. So is practice able to bring us there, or are we just naturally born like that?
Okay, I think with this, well, it depends also on how our setup is, because we know that pitch, the vocal folds length influence a lot on our pitch, right? I mean, like thin vocal folds and thick vocal folds. Also, we have to look at our windpipe. Is our windpipe large, or is it a narrow windpipe? Because we know if it's a smaller instrument, we get higher pitch, and if it's a larger instrument, we get lower pitch. And yes, we can train, or you can train your voice to go higher or lower based on the type of practice that you do. First thing for you is that to be able to first secure the range voice that you can sing in your most comfortable vocal effort before you do anything above or below, which means you need to know up to how high and how low is your most comfortable singing without having any problems. For problems like what I say is like when you reach that high note, each time you reach that high notes, you will scratch your voice, or you will break, you will crack the voice, and then you go like 2 days without voice. Or when you sing low notes, you sing it so low, usually basses have that problems, or altos sing very low. You push down so low until it becomes like very growling sound, and then you also lose your voice. So you need to know that limit first. Once you know that limit, then you can look into exercises. For example, to get voice highs, we know certain structures that help it. For example, higher larynx, being very, very light like this. You see, it brings your voice lighter. Tilting of the thyroid cartilage gets the voice up high, and ladies will have to tilt the thyroid cartilage much more, and that can give you high pitch, higher tongue, higher velum. So all these different structures can help. And same thing with lower pitch as well. More relaxed, lowered larynx. But when you do lowered larynx, the tongue must be forward. Okay, so these are the exercises that you can look, and then you can also do exercises like for example, octave exercises from one octave to another. And when you do that, for example, like if you do, or maybe in 5 notes, you can do that. But when you do the exercise, make sure that you are sliding the notes, because when you slide the notes, you are still doing the siren mechanism. You see, instead of going maybe number 1, you can do that siren exercise, but pitch to pitch. Then number 2, put it into a vowel. And when you're doing that, make sure the tongue is always forward. Right? Why we don't want the tongue back is because we know when the tongue is back, it pushes the epiglottis down. When the epiglottis goes down, all the other structures below wants to shut off. Like for example, the false vocal folds want to close, and when that close, it presses onto the vocal folds, and you get constriction. All right, so it can be trained, but do take time with it, and only do it until the most comfortable vocal effort, because it takes time for that range to build. And also for higher notes, you have to monitor other muscles working as well. For example, high notes, if you want to sing high notes and loud, you will have to look at the effort, because your larger muscles has to be anchored in order to create stability for that. Because if it's not stable as well, that's where you get your cracks at the top. Because remember, high extremities at the top requires very, very small movements of the muscles and precision. So if it's not stable, that can cause some turbulence, and then you can have some cracks at the top of the registers. And I would say work on the lower registers as well, because through my experience, this is my personal experience, I find that when I train people to stabilize their lower notes, their upper notes gets much clearer and safer. See, I use the word safer. When I get the lower notes, instead of just jumping high up. So for me, I usually go downwards before I go upwards. Yeah, does maybe, Rad, do you have anything to add to that?
No.
Does that answer your question, Fasha?
Yeah, you did. Thank you. And the example was good. Thanks.
Thank you, my pleasure. Is there any more question?
Yes.
Yes, Azri.
I have one more last question.
Sure,
it
no
is
worries.
regarding when we sing, when I singing, it's like that I always lost my breath, meaning my breath is so short. So I have heard that We can like swim to practice to make it prolong our breath. So since I have no swimming pool at home and this is during MCO, what can we do apart from swimming?
Well, okay. But I personally was a swimmer as well, and for me, okay, I've not found this in medical books, but I found that for me swimming does help me a lot, because previously I was also playing for the orchestra. I played the clarinet, and swimming helps me actually in terms of my breath control, because partly it's just like blowing bubbles into a cup anyway, because you're blowing bubbles underwater. So for me, I do encourage my students to swim a lot, because for me that builds stamina. And this is one trick. If you swim underwater, you can also produce sound as you go or something. Maybe that will help. It's not scientific. It's not in the singing books, but this is something which you can just try for fun when you're doing your swims. But during MCO, of course, when you cannot swim, so look at certain structures. For example, the epiglottis. All right. So because I know you're a medical student, right? So look at the epiglottis. So when the narrowing of the epiglottis is there, you get brighter sound, and also you get the air circulating back there. Right. So think about the narrowing of the epiglottis. Wide, you get E, narrow, E. That can also help you in terms of sustaining your breath. And then also look at how you're monitoring your effort of your other muscles. Whether are you pushing a lot? Usually this pushing a lot happens when you have to sing loud and high. That's why people go pushing everything. Yeah. So maybe monitor that, and yeah. Does that answer the question?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Do we have any more questions before we wrap up for today? All right. So there's no questions. So thank you very much, Miss Sirirat, for joining us today and sharing with us your professional opinions and tips regarding vocal health. Thank you everyone for joining in our series. And next week we will continue, and we will post to you the schedule for next week because for the month of June, and the topics that we will talk. But if you have anything that you want us to discuss, please do send us a message by this week, so that it will be put, because this week I start to plan for the programs, the contents for the next month. I go on a month-to-month basis. So we will first cover the 13 vocal tracks. Right, like what I say, these first 13 vocal tracks, you will have to know it well before we go into the artistry part, because now what we are learning is in terms of learning what do you call that, all the components of it. And then we go into the artistry part, in which we mix everything up, and that's where you see how we put into practice, whether to singing or to speaking. That's where the artistic part comes in. And then finally we go into the performance magic. Yeah, so it's craft, artistry, performance magic. So the craft part alone takes you about 13 sessions for us to go through, and I'm going it through very, very slowly, because it's voice science, it's learning anatomy. It's not something which you can see, it's something which you have to practice and to know how to feel this. Because like for dancing or so on, you can see what your fingers are doing, but for singing, everything is inside, so you have to learn how to feel it and listen to the clues of what is happening. And I'll help you, and also my colleagues and my friends will help you along the weeks as we go. And please give us your feedback. Do share our our video so that we can get more hits and more likes, so that the program can carry on and benefit more friends, and tell your friends about us. So thank you very, very much, and Selamat Hari Raya to all our friends that are celebrating Hari Raya. Just like how is it? Ramadan passed very, very quickly. We don't feel it, and suddenly it's just like Hari Raya. I was driving around KL looking for lemang. Finally, I found one place with lemang. I hijacked that place, which they sold me 25 ringgit for one lemang. I took two. I said I don't care. I know it's 25 ringgit. Yes, Zamir, 25 ringgit. I just ambil aja because and then go back very worried about coronavirus. So microwave the lemang for like a few minutes, and then microwave again, and then spray the entire. I'm phobia with that. Spray the whole container with sanitizer, and then wipe it, and then wash again, and then microwave again. Yes. So it's safe. Yeah. So I will see you guys. I will. Yeah. That's how my shopping is. When I bring back my shopping thing, I'll spray the entire shopping bag, wipe every single thing, and then wash, and then some of it put in the sun, and then keep in the fridge. 5 steps. All right. So thank you very, very much, everyone. Take care, and see you guys next week, and where we discover much more. Thank you. Take care, and bye-bye.